starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome to today's webinar, Data Visualization and Discovery, brought to you by Datavail. My name is Melanie Brady, and on behalf of IOUG headquarters, I would like to thank you for joining us today. Our speaker is Christian Screen, Oracle Analytics Practice Manager of Datavail. Christian is an innovator in analytics and data warehousing design, best practices, and delivery. With more than 15 years of decision support and data warehousing, he oversees the Oracle Analytics practice, which includes the technical development and delivery of Oracle BI collaboration software, data warehouse solutions, Oracle BI and EPM projects, and packaged analytics solutions at Datavail. He is an Oracle ACE, an international speaker, writer, and contributor on analytics-centric topics at conferences such as Oracle OpenWorld, Collaborate, Kscope, and Oracle user groups, where he shares his perspectives and thoughts on industry trends, strategies, and best practices. Before we begin, I would like to remind the audience to please feel free to submit questions throughout the event via the question chat box on your webinar toolbar. Christian will leave some time at the very end of his presentation to address these. I would like to now turn the call over to today's presenter. Please go ahead, Christian.
Well, thank you, and welcome everyone to Oracle Analytics Data Visualization and Discovery. We're really excited to deliver this topic to you today. We think it's a subject that's really been resonating within the IT and business user community for some time. And we want to share with you a bit of what we've discovered about some really great use cases for data visualization stemming from your existing information technology investments. And really the need to discover data visually, because we are ultimately individuals who understand things better visually than oftentimes just through tabular formatting. It allows us to really collaboratively interact with our data, which means we're able to share data within the organization better and extend beyond standard capabilities with standard tabular data and Excel spreadsheets. And what we want to really emphasize in today's session is the use of some of the new Oracle visualization tools such as Oracle Visual Analyzer, Oracle Desktop Visualization tools, and also the Big Data Discovery tools. And just as an objective for this session, we want to make sure that we're able to show you that this type of data visualization can engage all types of users, from beginners within Oracle BI all the way to the advanced analytics type of users. We're going to show you a couple of demonstrations of these tools, and we're going to talk about some of the other products that might be on the market today that some people might be familiar with. And then, of course, we're going to really talk about why you should begin looking or integrating the data visualization tools within your organization today to really help you increase your return on investment and leverage some of the existing technology investments you've already made within your organization. As I mentioned, Visual Analyzer is going to be one of the key topics for the day. And we're going to walk you through the desktop visualization tool as well, referred to as Data Visualization Desktop or DVD. Just a quick background on Datavail and the Oracle Analytics practice. Datavail is an organization based in Colorado and focused on database managed services, application support, and business intelligence and analytics. We were previously with an organization that was acquired by Datavail called Art of BI, and that organization was acquired earlier this year. So Art of BI software is now part of Datavail. The Datavail Oracle Analytics practice has many different service offerings around the Oracle Analytics and Oracle EPM offerings and solution stacks, and that ranges from everything from Oracle Business Intelligence to Oracle EPM, including Hyperion, the Oracle BI applications, Exalytics, Big Data, and of course one of the foundational elements is data warehouse architecture and design. We're focused on these areas because we do feel that they are essential to especially Oracle customers who might have JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, or EBS system of record solutions already in-house. And we also offer 24/7 operational support and managed services for the Oracle Analytics solutions, and of course that includes OBIEE and Hyperion. We also have a full slew of education offerings around the Oracle BI and Hyperion space. And you can also find out more information about our free hands-on workshops and our virtual classroom and webinar series on our website, datavail.com. So let's go ahead and jump into Oracle Visual Analyzer. So what is Oracle Data Visualization and Oracle Visual Analyzer? Well, Oracle Visual Analyzer is a new product that has been released with Oracle BI 12c, and it's also part of the Oracle BI Cloud solution. It's a tool that provides instant insight to business KPIs through visualization. It provides a way of self-service discovery of your data, and there's several different ways you can get at some of the Oracle data visualization tools. I mentioned some of these before. So Oracle has made a tremendous investment in data visualization, spreading that investment across several ways you can get your hands on these types of tools and on these really advanced visualization concepts. One is in the cloud, one is in the desktop, and the other is through the Oracle BI 12c on-premise solution that I mentioned before. And then taking it to the next level for big data implementations, we have a tool called Oracle Big Data Discovery. And this is a really exciting tool for users who really need to start wrangling that big data that they have within their organization. And it's a great way to start looking at perhaps a net new Hadoop cluster and other big data concepts with a great amount of ease. So these visualization tools are really excellent for getting prototypes or building just that rich interface against your data that really is paramount to a lot of organizations these days when they feel like they should be in a Web 2.0 scenario and looking at something that not only conveys the meaning of their data, but looks good and shows well also. Well, it's hard to talk about data visualizations and even Oracle Analytics these days without talking about the Oracle Cloud. And one of the solutions that we're focused on here at DataVail is the Oracle BI Cloud Service, or BICS for short. And it's an online analytics subscription service. It is Oracle's core BI subscription as a service offering, and it has a rich set of managed utilities for analytics, very similar to the on-premise Oracle BI tool, but obviously there's some benefits to using a cloud-based tool for your analytics solution. We're seeing this perfectly being used for different lines of business or departmental analytics at a lot of our clients. It seems to be a great way to get either a BI tool in-house and having something that's pretty much ready to go without a lot of infrastructure work, or it's a great way to have kind of a siloed set of analytics and dashboards, perhaps for a single line of business that might be lacking the type of tools that perhaps other organizations or departments within the business currently have. And one great thing about working with the Oracle BI Cloud is that it's always on. And out of the box, the mobile configuration is ready to go. So you can spin up your Oracle BI Cloud Service subscription, and then of course your system is ready to go for mobile BI capability through your iPad and so forth. And then of course, a lot of the old reasons to be adverse to cloud are really gone away with what Oracle's built in their cloud platform. And they use really a bank-grade security system and encryption that's really hard to argue against of why organizations wouldn't start looking at the cloud for not only their business intelligence and analytics solution, dashboarding and so forth, but obviously also for displaying data through different departments in the organization. Well, one of the really cool things that comes with this new technology from Oracle is this concept of mashing up data. There's historically been this concept of self-service and limitations to it and arguments from both sides, from both the business and IT. And what Oracle's done is created a concept called mashing up data. So this provides IT with a sound way to provide a centralized set of metadata in a subject area that they control, and then it gives your business users the ability to take some of their data sets for the data they might control in Excel files and so forth, and then combine those two types of data together so that your business user has a little bit more freedom and control over how they look at their data. This is great for prototyping, and this really starts getting organizations to look at the use of spreadsheets and Excel, downloading data from the BI system and mixing it up in Excel, and start looking at that as a thing of the past. So what I want to do quickly is just walk you through a demonstration of mashup capability within Oracle BI. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to show a quick demonstration of logging in to the Oracle BI Cloud Service. And you can see here, we can see all of our favorite activity, but what I want to do is click on analysis. And I'm going to create a new analysis. And we're going to use an existing subject area just for this demonstration and show you just one quick column that's coming out of one of our dimensions. And we can see that we have a reference key once we locate our district dimension. And we're going to pull over the region column. And this is the region ID of our particular dimension in our subject area that we would be looking at. So you could think of this as a primary key, for example. But this could also be the region name if we wanted to. But we'll stick with the idea of just an ID. Now we're going to add a data source. Now this is a data source that the user is adding, as you can see in the analysis phase. And I'm going to pick a CSV file or an Excel file to use for this example. And let me show you what this Excel file looks like. It's a really basic Excel file, or like I said, it could be a CSV file. And all I'm doing is I'm going to look at two columns in this Excel file. One is going to be that ID column, and the other is going to be like a description or a different name. This could be a different language translation. It could be some other attribute about that region. And I could put, obviously, multiple columns into it. And once I select that source, you can see here, Oracle BI gives me the ability to say, okay, where do you want to join that ID? And then what other columns from that Excel file do you want to bring in? So I'm going to match on the reg ID column from Excel with the column that I brought over earlier in my criteria selection from the district dimension folder called region. So I'm basically doing a join on those two those columns. And now I'm just going to add this as an attribute, so the new description coming from my Excel file. And then once I load that up, all behind the scenes, all very transparent to the business user here who's doing this type of prototyping and analysis. And you can see down here I've got a brand new folder, or really a brand new subject area data set with a couple additional columns. And now I can drag over these columns into my report editor, if you will, in the analysis editor, and I can click on results. And now you can see I'm actually able to get that data set back with my new description. So think about the possibilities for this. I mean, we can do different aggregations. We can bring in different data points. Obviously, what we're doing right now is just bringing in a simple look at bringing in an attribute. But that's the very basics of how we can just mash up data from an Excel file. So there's a lot of different legs on using that new capability, but in the end what we're doing is we're extending the self-service capability for your users so they have more control, they're more involved in the analytics system, you get a lot more buy-in, and it makes a more productive feedback loop, because now your business user is able to say, look, I've prototyped this report, I've brought in this data set that we use quite frequently, and as a prototype, hand that off perhaps to someone that's in IT or OBI administrator, and then they can then feed that very cleanly into the main enterprise system, such as your RPD, or even perhaps in your data warehouse if needed. So, so that's what we call data mashups, and that's available in both the BI Cloud Service as well as the on-premise Oracle BI 12c solution. And one of the other questions we often get is, well, if we're talking about cloud and we're talking about mashing up data, how easy is it to actually move data into the BI cloud? and start creating a data flow from on-premise into the cloud solution? Well, there's a couple of different ways, and we won't actually demonstrate the ways to load the data during this presentation, but we'll just highlight a few, just letting individuals know that it is very possible, and there's several different ways you can actually load data into the BI Cloud Service solution. So the first way is through the BIX Data Loader. This is a utility that is basically free of charge for Oracle customers who are using BIX, and it basically allows you to move data from either a flat file or database into the Oracle Cloud Schema relatively easily, and you can even schedule some of those data loads. So it can be coming from a cloud-based server that you might already have or on-premise. Another way that you can do it is you can use the REST API. So for your DevOps team or your application development team who might be already familiar with using REST API sort of programming for other technology you have in your organization, this is a great way to leverage what Oracle is presenting in order for you to load and move data into the BI Cloud solution. Of course, there's the that tool's been around for a long time called SQL Developer. It's a graphic user interface tool, and now there's some command line utilities for it as well. And this is the way you can upload data into your schema also into the BI Cloud Service. And then I think finally is just using plain old PL SQL. This might be a little bit more advanced because it takes some depth in writing up the PL SQL code to be able to do it and import the data from on-premise into the cloud, but it is quite possible. Oh, and I forgot the last one, which is the BI Data Sync. So those are just a couple ways you can actually move the data on a consistent basis as opposed to just prototyping, but actually load the data into your BI Cloud Service schema and thus your subject areas with a relative amount of ease. So we've looked at use case 1 for data visualization with BIX and Visual Analyzer, and that's really just merging data from combined data sources, taking kind of a departmental BI concept, looking at prototyping, and this is something that organizations have been looking to do for a very, very long time, and now it's possible within these new tools. The next use case I want to talk about is data visualization desktop, or now referred to as DVD. One of the reasons data visualization desktop is becoming really popular and organizations are looking for tools like this is because they've seen other tools in the market such as QlikView and Tableau. And as I mentioned earlier, Oracle has made a really significant investment in commanding that market and aligning Oracle customers with an Oracle visualization product. And they've released this one not too long ago to focus on that market of departmental analysts and subject matter experts being able to just use their desktop tools like they would any other applications and create great, really sharp-looking presentations through visualizations. And we'll walk through some of that in detail during the demo. It is a standalone tool that would be installed on each user's desktop. It's based on technology similar to Visual Analyzer that we showed a little bit ago about the data mashups. But what's really important about this is it's a really clean, it's really intuitive, and it's really easy to use client software. And like I mentioned, it has what we call a fat client install. So this particular desktop tool is not necessarily web-based, but it's something that literally installs on your desktop like you would install Microsoft Word. And we think that it's a great approach for departmental analytics or really anyone looking to prototype or look to be creative with their data and really understand visualizations in association with their data. This is going to create and open up so many new opportunities for an organization, whether you have been looking for a tool like Tableau, look no further, Oracle Data Visualization Desktop is here to save the day. And there are some prerequisites that you might want to look at, but pretty much what we see with our customers, what most organizations have for their standard desktop or operating system workstation configuration will allow DVD or Data Visualization Desktop to be installed right away. Well, let's take a look at the interactivity and some of the basic features of DVD right now. And so what I want to do is just walk through a demo. We'll probably take a few minutes taking a look at this and trying to show you what it looks like. And if I'm showing you here, we're clicking on the desktop icon. As I mentioned, it is a true desktop application that we're looking at. And the focus is actually that we are able to create different data sources. We're able to work with the data in different ways. And we're even able to use different connections with the system as well. And one of the other great things about the DVD system is that you can ultimately share the projects that you create through DVD with other users. And that becomes really important as well, because once you create these visualizations, other users are going to want to see what you've been doing, what you've been up to, and how you actually put things together. Let me jump back in my demo real quick. Okay. So as I open up Data Visualization Desktop, what we'll see is that we have a pretty clean interface to work with projects. By clicking on one of the sample projects we have here to display, we can see that as it renders, we've got some really nice visualizations to show right away. And then based on these clean visualizations, we can see on the left-hand side, we have the subject area. We have different tabs at the bottom, so you can think of these as basically dashboard tabs that can show different perspectives of information, obviously, as we go along. And so you can think of this view immediately as really something a data visualization developer or maybe even a data scientist would utilize. Maybe at a departmental level, like I said, this is maybe a subject matter expert type of tool. And of course, they can export these dashboard tabs. You can even embed these this content inside the Oracle BI application system. You can even do some narrations. Very clean and very intuitive. You can have different segments and basically have master detail views. Very crisp for hovering over data, as I'm hovering over customer profit bins and just kind of looking at the data points. I can click on some of these options and drill down further into detail as well. I can do things that many Hyperion customers are very familiar with, such as keep selected or keep only, and this will change the data and graphics throughout the rest of what's being presented on the data visualization desktop as well. I can also change point of view. So if I want to look at different customer segments or basically change the dimensionality, I can do that as well. So that's the data visualization side, and we'll come back to that as well. But one of the really neat things about DVD is that I have the ability to prepare the data. So as I'm either getting data from one or more connections, I can then basically wrangle or control the data, its data types. We'll look at where we can actually do some, dare I say, cleansing or aggregation of the data. And this, of course, helps the overall output of the visualization as I have this type of control over the data that's available to me. As you can see here, I've got concatenation options. I can add a new column, so basically dummy column, and put in information there as well. I can work with hidden columns. So Oracle's really thought this product out. And remember, this is a desktop product that's giving us this great control to be really flexible with what we're doing. And so when it comes to some of that transformation, some of that light, what we call light ETL work, we can do a lot of that in this tool. And if you look here in kind of the narration area down at the bottom, we can even add a bit of commentary. So here we've got sales growing faster for technology products in 2015. Really give some information. And we've seen this a lot of times with our customers where you're looking at different data points, and it's so important to describe the data on that page or on that graph and what it actually means in that perspective and, of course, in that context. So let's take a look at some of the other data sources that we have that are helping build up this project we're looking at. So before we do that, let's take a look at the presentation mode. So obviously when we're analyzing or looking at the data, we've got some extra clutter there, but we can switch to a presentation mode that gives us a little bit cleaner interface to work with. We can scroll left to right on the different types of visuals. And if you're paying attention here to these visualizations, these bullet charts, these are the types of visuals that customers have been asking for years. And now you almost can't buy a better tool than what Oracle's come out here with DVD as it relates to data visualizations. Okay, so as we're scrolling through and looking at some of these other types of visualizations that we have, obviously, plot charts, line bar graphs, what I want to get you to is to look at some of the data flow elements and some of the other types of data connections that we have available in the system as well. So let's click back and go back to the home page here. So this is, as we mentioned before, kind of shows us what activity we've had going on in our DVD area thus far. When we look at the different data sources, obviously we can create multiple data sources, we can leverage existing ones, and I think we can even share these throughout the organization. So as we're looking at create data sources, obviously we can import from a file. That's pretty basic. We would think that would be an entry to a tool like this, at least having a file import component. But we also have different types of connections that we can use as well. We can connect to Google Analytics. We can connect to some of the other really well-known web-based tools that are on the market today as well. And connecting to a data file is really straightforward, just like we saw in Visual Analyzer. If we want to add a more advanced connection, such as one of the Oracle apps, Amazon Redshift, to any of our Hadoop, Apache Hive based data sources, Teradata, Spark, even Salesforce, which we're actually doing for some customers today, it becomes really exciting when you look at all these different types of options that we can just pull that data from in a very concerted way and then bring that in and visualize it this quickly as not only just prototyping, but something that can actually be delivered to our internal customer or the customers that might be external that we might be doing data visualizations for. Okay. Well, let me focus on something called data flow. This is really neat because what we can do is we can add one or more data sources. And there's often a question of, well, it's great to have an Excel file to be able to import in as a data source, but what if I want to combine data from Salesforce to data from an Excel spreadsheet that I'm getting from another opportunity CRM channel, and then I want to combine that with our EBS system for existing accounts. And I want to do that in a way that a business analyst or a SME can do within a department and bring that data together and ultimately report on it. So what we're showing here is just a quick example of how we can bring in a couple of data sources. And eventually we can join that data together, and then we can see that as a data source. And then obviously once we have it as a data source, then we can clearly do some standard visualizations from it. So we're going to add a couple of data sources here. Just create a few simple ones, so order lines, facts. And now we can see theoretically we have 3 data sources available to us. We can go in and click on one of those data sources, and as a step, we can begin creating the data flow. So let's create a step that's going to begin that process for us. So let's just add a few columns. Find the column selector. We can do this by filtering if we wanted to as well. So there's a lot of different options that we have available to us. So let's get rid of that one. We'll select a couple of columns here. So now once we select the columns, we can make short work of this by just adding in the columns we want, perhaps the columns we just want to bring together in a join and a couple of different attributes. And what's really neat is we can see that we selected 2 out of the 29 available columns to us in this particular data source. And a lot of times when we get data from non-data warehouse tables, we get a lot of just kind of a flat structure to work with. So as we select some of these columns, right, so we can do one at a time, or we can do multiple. Then, of course, as we get to our next data source, we basically add another step. So this is really almost like an ETL process, but we refer to it as kind of a light ETL, or really what you could call a data flow. And in this data flow, obviously, there's some constraints, right? So as we add a step, it's making sure that we add a column and make sure we bring at least one column over before we continue with our data flow and bring data together from different data sources. So let's just bring over order ID, customer ID, sales, and profit. So a couple of IDs and a couple of metrics there. So as I'm looking at the columns, let's go ahead and try to join these together. And let's see what we want to join on. So there's already some intelligence built on that says, hey, there's a couple of matching rows there, in this case, order ID. And we could input another one to really make that match more selective, obviously. And so here in this case, we're going to pick customer ID so that we're predicating that data on a little bit of a stronger bind for this inner join. And now, based on that, we can just take a quick look at the data and check its correctness. Now, obviously, we could validate this by going into the actual data set and making sure that we're getting back this theoretically this mashup here. But the DVD is doing that work for us. So there's definitely a comfort level that we think customers will need to get to. But for the most part, it's a really sound set of data flow aggregation intelligence and join intelligence. And so here, because we're aggregating the data in this next step, we can then determine how we're trying to roll that data up to the different elements. And you can see here, it's basically the aggregates are showing which ones are the metrics. And so we can do different sums, averages, minimum counts. And this just shows the flexibility of the tool, especially when we can do something like a group by. So super, super important, super strong, super flexible way for a power user, subject matter expert, to really dive in. Now, if you think about this data flow, ultimately what you're saving is the data, right? Because you're basically running this data flow to store that data off so that you can then report against it and create visualizations against it. So let's go ahead and give that just a name. We'll call it sample order ag or something similar here. Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter, underscore. And so this now is going to be our data source from which we can pull data and use the visualization tool set to then create these rich visuals. And I'll just save that again. Save the actual data flow. All right, sample orders, data flow demo. We'll save that, and let's just, for the last piece here, we'll just see where it winds up. Let's go ahead and delete this step as well because we didn't do anything with it. There's no need to bring that in. We'll save it off again, and we'll get it executed. So now once we run that flow, and you can, of course, rerun this flow every time data comes through, new data needs to be synced. There's other options like debug. Let's go ahead and save that off one more time. navigate back home, and then we'll see that we have that data flow data set that can be used for creating other data visualizations. And there we go. And we can see that it was updated just now. And now we can use that, as you can see here on the left-hand side, as a data set to start creating other new visualizations. So here's our data set, here's our aggregates, and there's our dimensionality. So really awesome stuff that we have to work with there with the new data visualization system called Data Visualization Desktop. So that's just a look at some of the basic features and just kind of review the samples. And really what's awesome about the tool is all those data sources that you get, and that data flow that's fairly new to the tool is really going to be a game changer. So just to kind of highlight, really what makes DVD stand out? Well, it's obviously Oracle's answer to Tableau, which has been kind of the leader in the market for a number of years. And having this drag and drop capability to create those really compelling graphics is now on the Oracle product and aligns with the full roadmap for Oracle Analytics. So it's really impressive for existing Oracle customers, but especially for new customers who might not be on the Oracle stack, looking for a data visualization tool. DVD is a great way to go. Lots of integration capabilities. You've got great security tie-ins, especially as you start trying to connect to Salesforce.com or even some of the other SaaS tools like Google Analytics and so forth. So it really gives you a lot of great aspects to look at for visualization. And of course, there's a growing community around creating these visuals. So I'm just providing a link here with a link to the Oracle community for data visualizations. We have a lot of customers who are starting to even post and share some of the projects they're working on for some open source data sets and really showing you what's capable with the data visualization desktop tool. So that's been really exciting to start taking a look at those and seeing that there's a community that's really sharing and really trying to push this concept forward about looking at data in a different light instead of just tabular formatting in Excel spreadsheets. The last use case I want to cover for this session is just to talk about Oracle Big Data Discovery. And for those not too familiar with Oracle Big Data or Big Data in general, there's a concept of really just bringing all the data together, unstructured and otherwise, into the organization. One of the key things that's out there today, as many of you might have heard, is really the Hadoop file system is kind of at the core of what we call modern day big data technology, ingestion, and consumption. And there's a lot of peripheral tools surrounding it as well. But when we talk about how we look at that data and how we're able to wrangle that data, right? Wrangling being, we have it all in, so how do we digest it, right? How do we pull a rope around it and say, this is just a small data set that I need to look at, that I care about, out of these, terabytes worth of information. And the tool that we see picking up a lot of ground is Oracle Big Data Discovery. It's their tool for looking at this type of data through Hadoop file systems and other aspects. And the one thing that we're seeing right now is some companies are saying, hey, let's wait until we get our full-fledged HDFS environment set up and everything like that. Well, that makes sense to some degree, but what you really want to do as soon as you know that you're looking at embarking on a big data journey, you should really start looking at how you're going to reference that data at the same time. So what we advise to our customers as we go in helping them with big data solutions is obviously there's an infrastructure footprint that needs to take place. Obviously there's some planning and some design, and you have to have obviously some concerted goals in mind, and obviously you can start with a prototype to get your feet wet in the technology. But in that same breath, you really need to look at a visualization tool, like a data wrangling tool, as your end users are ultimately going to want to consume that data that you're storing in your HDFS clusters and so forth. And so getting the data out is just as important as how you're getting the data in and how you're going to be working with the data. And so Oracle Big Data is a tool that you should definitely align with as you're building out your big data environment. It's really great because it has search capabilities, guided navigation, interactive visualizations, obviously, which is the topic of this discussion. But it is definitely a means to decrease the risk of your big data proof of concept or project, and it really does speed up the time to value. And so take that as a recommendation away from this webinar. If you're even talking about doing anything with big data, definitely make sure that you have the big data discovery visualization aspect as a major component within your plans for your big data proof of concept, pilot, or project that you're embarking on. All right. It's also great you can apply transformations to data sets, you can blend data, and you can even push data back into the cluster. So that's super important. And obviously, Oracle's done a lot of work with big data. They've got the big data appliance. They've worked with Cloudera, who's a well-known name in the big data space pretty much since the beginning. And so as it is part of the Oracle Big Data Analytics suite of products, what we're showing here. Obviously, there's a lot that encompasses the big data solution. And again, you definitely want to make sure you have a mashup tool at the ready when you're embarking on this type of journey for big data. And the tool's going to be here to stay. It really is. It's very powerful. It's got robust visualizations, and it's just really a great way to get started for data scientists. I was showing a slide earlier about the Oracle Big Data Virtual Machine. So for any individuals that are just really interested in doing things with big data, Oracle offers to its customers and to its partners the ability to download a virtual machine so you can get started with a Hadoop cluster and really start visualizing big data through Oracle Big Data Discovery. And again, as it's a part of the overall analytics footprint in Oracle, it's another visualization tool that can be at your disposal. So just to kind of wrap up and then jump into if there's any questions for any of the attendees on the call, just to highlight, Oracle's made a tremendous investment in not only cloud technology, but also data visualization technology, which is a part of the cloud analytics as well as the on-premise analytics footprint. And so that's come out of messaging from Oracle at Oracle OpenWorld this year, and even before earlier this year, that was part of their messaging and roadmap. It's definitely not only a competitor to Tableau and some of the other data visualization tools on the market, but we think it's a tool that's going to replace a lot of incumbent Tableau usage within a lot of organizations, in particular for those customers who have a footprint of Oracle database, or they already run a lot of their organization on the Oracle stack, such as PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, or eBusiness Suite, and then now you can add NetSuite to that as well. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity to leverage that, but not only for Oracle customers, as we mentioned, but customers who have some usage around SaaS tools like Google Analytics and Salesforce, as we mentioned before. And then, of course, it's fairly easy to get started with these tools. You can download them from Oracle. You can start with, obviously, basic data sets from a CSV file or an Excel file to get rolling. So really straightforward. And we're doing this for a lot of customers right now. We're releasing a couple more webinars, a couple white papers that are providing some best practices around how to not only use these tools, but how to get started. Okay, so with that being said, let me see if there's any questions from any of the attendees.
Great, thanks so much, Christian. We appreciate it. The first question that we had come through is, why would I use Data Visualization Desktop instead of Visual Analyzer?
Well, it's a pretty good question. So they are two different tools. Visual Analyzer being more of the web-based tool, and Data Visualization Desktop being a desktop tool for each individual user. And you might have Visual Analyzer where you have a really concentrated sense of a common enterprise information model, kind of a top-down model, and you might have more of a key prototyping initiative. Right, I want to add my calculation for gross profit margin, right, to sales and product initiatives, just to see how well it matches, and I don't want to ask IT to do that. Whereas with Data Visualization Desktop, maybe you want to take a more advanced route and you want to start pulling in a prototyping way data sets from different data sources, like I mentioned from some SaaS offerings. You want to do some cleansing and some rolling up on your own, and then maybe use that as prototyping to pass back into the main enterprise IT infrastructure, like the RPD and the data warehouse. Or you just want to hold that for yourself and use that for maybe QBRs or just nice presentation. So there are some subtle differences there in when and why you would use the two, and that's just a couple of examples.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question that we had is, can data visualization connect to the OBIEE server, and what about security?
Great question. So and this is really key, actually, to a lot of Oracle Analytics customers today. Security is so important. They put their security inside this single metadata model so that no matter what source pulls from it, they've only had to set up that security one time in one place. If they make a change, it applies to all the other consuming programs or applications. So the same thing applies here to data visualization desktop. Obviously, as a connection, you can reference the Oracle BI server and any of the tables or subject areas that are being referenced, rather. It is applying the Oracle BI server security that's being applied, at the metadata layer, for example. And so as a user logging in from their DVD desktop when they create that connection, it's only pulling back the data and the metadata that you are allowed to see. So yeah, whoever posed that question, that's a really good one.
Great, thank you. The next question, do any of these tools that you showed today work directly with Tableau?
Well, directly with Tableau, I don't think that is the case. So these tools would be separate, really, from Tableau. So as an analogous type of tool or similar type of tool, both would look at a data set and they would consume that data set in their own way to provide visualization. In the way of DVD and Visual Analyzer, obviously, as we saw during the demonstration today, there's a lot of different connection types, file, database, and through SAS to pull in that data. But as far as using direct connectivity to Tableau, no. But I think if users look at this tool and do a side-by-side comparison, I think especially if they're already existing Oracle customers, I think they'll see some benefits of using these tools that we showed today over Tableau. So very interesting.
Excellent, thank you. The last question that we had come through was, we have a small Hadoop cluster. What do we need to begin working with big data discovery tools?
Okay, so that's kind of a loaded question because obviously Hadoop clusters, it can be a loaded configuration, and like I mentioned earlier, Cloudera has tools that really help out in that management process, because ultimately, the Hadoop file system is open source, and a lot of the ancillary surrounding tools are as well. But if you want to use big data discovery with your Hadoop cluster, in theory, you just need to download that tool, and obviously it's available from Oracle. And once you download it, there's some configuration settings, and you can get connected directly to your big data infrastructure using that tool. And it really is a very plug-and-play type of utility to get started with.
Great, thank you. Christian, any closing thoughts before we wrap up today's session?
I just wanted to thank everyone in IOUG for giving us the opportunity to present today, as well as DataVeil. And if there's any way we can assist anyone with any of the topics we discussed today, please be sure to let us know.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And like Christian mentioned, if you would like to get in touch with the speaker from today's session, please feel free to reach out to speakers@ioug.org, and we can connect you with Christian and the DataVeil team. At this time, I'd like to give a big thank you to Christian and the entire DataVeil team. Before we conclude, please make note of our upcoming webinars and past webinars by visiting www.ioug.org. A recording from today's session will soon be available on the IOUG website in our Resource Center. We also encourage you to save the date and register for the upcoming Collaborate 17 IOUG Forum, which will take place at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino from April 2nd to the 6th, 2017. We'd like to thank our speakers and everyone online for attending the event today. There is a survey after this webinar for you to complete. Thank you again for attending and have a great day.